We are grateful to be able to meet again for indoor services beginning July 4th. As we resume indoor services, we are abiding by the recommendations set forth by the Illinois Department of Public Health and the Centers for Disease Control. We understand that there are a number of opinions about whether these measures are necessary or not. However, one of our guiding principles during this time comes from Philippians 2, verses 3 and 4. Those verses read, "Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others." The guidance from the Illinois Department of Public Health for churches recommends that we limit our attendance at services to 25% of our seating capacity. The seating capacity in the sanctuary is approximately 240. Therefore, we will be limiting the number of people who will be allowed in the building at one time to 60 or fewer. We will be offering 3 in-person indoor services to accommodate the congregation. Those services will take place on Saturday nights at 6 p.m. and Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. and 11 o'clock a.m. If there are more than 60 people per service, you will have the option of being seated in our overflow space under the pavilion or tent outside, where we will have a speaker set up allowing you to hear Pastor Arvid's sermon. Or if you prefer, you can return at a different time for a seat indoors. We realize that there will be members of vulnerable populations, as well as those that are uncomfortable meeting in larger groups, who are not yet ready to join us for an in-person service. We understand that and encourage each person to consider what is the best option for themselves and their families. We will continue to offer a service online at 10 a.m. on Sundays. We will also continue to offer the Sunday evening online service at 6 p.m., the Tuesday night online prayer meeting, and the Thursday night Ask the Pastor meeting. Both of those are at 7 o'clock p.m. We hope that we will have 60 in each service. We are grateful for every step that we can take back towards normalcy. However, if you or anyone in your home has a fever, we ask that you stay home from services until the cause of the fever has been diagnosed and the individual has been fever-free for 24 hours. Also, if you or anyone in your household has been recently diagnosed with coronavirus or thinks you have been exposed to coronavirus, please self-quarantine the entire household and contact the elders so that we can pray for you and to give us guidance on how we can best support you and your family during this time. Our services will begin promptly at 6 p.m., 8:30 a.m., and 11 o'clock a.m. in order to ensure enough time to sanitize between services. We urge you to arrive at church early to get a seat inside. This is necessary so that everyone can participate in the entire worship service and to minimize distractions and interruptions. We will have people stationed at the doors to let people in a staggered fashion, and our ushers will escort you into the sanctuary to find seats so that we can maintain social distancing in all indoor spaces. We will be seating individuals and family groups at 10-foot intervals. We will be filling the seats on the far side of the sanctuary first, and then seating people closer to the southeast sanctuary doors. There will be seats reserved for our senior citizens at the service of their choosing. Pastor Arvid will dismiss individuals and families after the service in a staggered pattern so as to maintain social distancing. Everyone will exit through the double doors at the south end of the sanctuary beside the kitchen for fellowship outdoors. We are asking everyone to please refrain from physical contact and keep your distances from one another. This feels contrary to how we normally behave towards one another as the Church of Jesus Christ. However, social distancing is a key preventative to the spread of COVID-19. As hard as it will be, the greeting time of hugs and handshakes will be replaced with waves and air bumps. Please maintain social distances and remember that you may be comfortable with the concept of sitting close to someone who isn't in your family or wanting to give someone a hug. However, they may not be comfortable being in close proximity yet. Please consider the needs and wishes of others before approaching someone. There will be no access to common areas within the church building, with the exception of restricted bathroom use. The lobby will be closed for common use, and all fellowship should take place outdoors. We have retained the tent for the month of July for this purpose. All classrooms will be locked, and there will be no nursery or children's programs available. If a child needs to be changed, please use the changing stations in either restroom or the changing table in room 101. If you have a toddler who needs to use the bathroom, you may use the child-sized restroom in 101 as well. There will be a maximum of 2 people allowed per restroom at a time. If you need to use the restroom during the service, please only use the main southeast doors to exit and re-enter the sanctuary. Please close the lid before flushing. There is research that indicates that germs can be aerosolized by a flush. Everyone should wash their hands after using the restroom for a full 20 seconds. Then, use a paper towel to turn off the faucet. Additional paper towels can then be used to dry your hands. Masks are not required out of doors unless you are more comfortable wearing one. However, anyone entering the building will be required to wear a mask at all times. We are asking everyone to comply with this request out of consideration for others ahead of ourselves and looking out for the interests of others as well. If you choose not to wear a mask or prefer not to wear one, we invite you to enjoy the service from under the tent or pavilion and fellowship with us outdoors after the service. There will be a speaker placed outside that will allow all those joining us outside to hear the sermon. In an effort to mitigate the potential spread of the virus, there will be no coffee or snacks available at the service. The water fountains will be turned off and covered for the same reason. Please feel free to bring your own beverage, but please do not share outside your family group. As Pastor Arvid always says, did you bring your beautiful Bibles? Normally, we have extra Bibles available for those that have forgotten theirs. At this time, there will be no common church Bibles available for people to borrow, as sharing common items may be a means of spreading COVID-19. There will also be no bulletins or sermon notes available. We will email announcements out on Monday morning, and if you'd like a copy of the sermon notes, they will be emailed on Saturday. Please print a copy at home and bring it with you for use during the service. We are grateful for God's continuing provision during the pandemic and shelter-at-home order. To mitigate the risk of spreading the virus, we will not be passing the offering plates. If you'd like to make an offering, please leave it in one of the boxes that are clearly marked on the table in the back of the sanctuary or just outside the south doors of the lobby. You can also use our online giving option that is available at cornerstonelw.org. On communion weekends, the first weekend of each month, we will not be passing the plates containing the elements. We have purchased prepackaged individual elements and will have them available on a table in the rear of the sanctuary for you to pick up on your way to your seats. We will have garbage cans placed near the exits for you to dispose of your empty containers. All hard surfaces and objects that are frequently touched, such as chairs, tables, desks, door handles, light switches, and surfaces in the restrooms, are regularly disinfected with a hospital-grade 1.4% hydrogen peroxide solution, which is well above the minimum required amount for disinfecting surfaces. This is a disinfectant that does not trigger those who struggle with chemical sensitivities. We will be sanitizing the chairs, restrooms, door handles, and light switches between each service. In the absence of the availability of hand washing, the CDC recommends the use of hand sanitizers. Please be aware that most hand sanitizers contain chemicals that can cause severe reactions in several of our church members who suffer from chemical sensitivities. If you bring a hand sanitizer to use, we ask that you use it away from others. The church has hand sanitizers available for your use that do not trigger these reactions. They will be clearly marked on tables inside the sanctuary as well as outside the church. We look forward to worshiping together in person, indoors, outdoors, and online on Saturday evening and Sunday morning, Lord willing. There may be additional information that we will share with you throughout the week. Please check your inboxes or Facebook for these announcements. The deacons, elders, and staff will also provide direction on Saturday evening and Sunday morning. If you have any questions, please contact any of the members of the Elder or Deacon Board. Their contact information is contained in the email that included the link to this presentation.